Okay, in this lecture, we're going to be learning about nested loop. Is when you have like a loop inside another loop, just like the nested F. When you have an F inside F, that's the same thing. Let's have an example here. So let's say we have a for loop, and then from 1 to, let's say, 10. So let's say we want to display a star 10 times. So this is our print and then star. So if I run this program, it's going to show me 10 stars. Okay. Now, what about if you want to show this 10 stars 5 times? That means 50 stars. How can I do that? So an easy way is to have in the loop that's going to make this 5 times. So I'm going to put this loop inside another loop like this. So here 4. And then I'm going to put this statements inside this. That means I want to repeat that 5 times. So here I can use, and I have to change the variable 1, x is less or equal than 5, x plus plus. So this will make it 50 times. Why? Because every time I finish 10 times, it's going to move on to x equals 2, x equals 3, 4, and 5. So now if I run the program, it's going to show it 50 times. Why? Because I repeated that 10 stars 5 times. So every time is going to make 10 stars 5 times. Okay. Now what about if I don't want to have them in one line? I want to have 10 stars in every line. So in this case, once I finish the 10 stars, I need to start a new line. So I need to put system out print line here. So every time I finish 10 stars, it's going to start a new line. So now I'm going to have 50 stars, but 10 stars in each line. Okay, so that's basically the concept of nested loop. Now, what about if I want 20 stars in each line? So I just have to change this to 20. So now I'm going to have 5 rows, 20 stars each. Okay, now what about if you want to increase the number of rows? So if I want to increase the number of rows, I just have to change the first loop. Okay, what we call the outer loop, and the one inside we call it inner loop. So if you want to change it, let's say to 7. So that means I have 5 rows, 20 stars each. Okay. Now the same thing if you want to, let's say, what about if I use, for example, x? I want to print x. What do you think is going to be printed? So x is 1. So when x equals 1, so the inner loop is going to go from 1 to 20 before the value of x changes to 2. So I'm going to have 1, x equals 1, 20 times before it changes to 2. So here, so let me change this 1 to 10. So if I want to print here, it's going to print 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 10 times. And then it's going to change to 2, 2, 2. So when x equals 1, it's going to stay 1 until the inner loop comes to an end from 1 to 10. So if I run the program, it's going to show 1 10 times, 2 10 times, all the way. The last number is 7 10 times. Okay. Now what happens if I print I? So now I is going to go from 1 to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way to 10. That's when x equals 1. When x equals 2, then again, I will move 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to 10, 7 times. So if I run the program, I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, all the way to 10 7 times. Okay? Okay, now what about if I changes this 10 to x? How can I affect this? So when x equals 1, I is going to go from 1 to 1. That means only 1 times. Okay? So let's say, for example, I want to print x here. So x equals 1. Then I is going to go how many times? It's going to go from 1 to 1. That means only 1 time. So we're going to print only 1. Then when x equals 2, I is going to go from 1 to 2. That means you're going to have 2 printed 2 times. When x equals 3, I is going to go from 1 to 3. I keep printing the same value, which is 3. So if I run the program here, so it's going to show 1. It takes like a triangle kind of shape because it keeps changing. They're not the same number of times in every row because of this variable that keeps changing. So the first time when x equals 1, so then the inner loop tells me how many times it's going to be repeated. So from 1 to 1, there's only 1 time. From 1 to 2, 2 times. From 1 to 3, 3 times, and so on. Now, if I print the I, this means I'm printing the second variable. And second variable is going to change. So 1, okay, and then 1, 2, and when x equals 3, 1, 2, 3. When x equals 4, I will be 1, 2, and so on. So 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Okay. Now, what about if I change first one to x? So what's gonna happen? So here here x, the value of x is 1. So it's gonna go from 1 to 10, printing the same value, which is 1. So it's gonna be 1 10 times. Now when x equals 2, I will go from 2 to 10, printing the same value, which is 2. So as you can see, every time there will be 1 less. So the first one, we're going to have 1 10 times, then 1, then 2 9 times, then 3, and so on. So every time I'm going to have 1 less, as you can see right here. Okay, so this is basically how the nested loop works. I hope you find this lecture useful. So thank you for watching and see you in the next lecture.